Okay, so hi everyone and welcome to this session. This is our second session this week on grading and feedback in Canvas, and I hope that you can see my screen here with the presentation. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome to all the YouTube viewers and the Zoom viewers, and also this recording will be available after the fact. So if you're watching back later today or at a later date, welcome to you as also. I'm just going to go over what we're going to cover today. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is the gradebook, so settings, submissions, filtering, and results. I'll also cover SpeedGrader. So that'll be how you're looking at the different submissions from your students when you're grading them. We'll also look a little bit at quizzes and a little bit at original. So that's our plagiarism detection solution here in MTU. So without further ado, I might go straight into Canvas if that's okay. So if I just click in here, you'll see we have our training unit here in Canvas. So at the moment, this is just the training unit that the GL department uses. So all of this is fake quizzes and assignments and stuff. It's just so we can show you how it all works when you're actually doing your grading. And one thing to note, if you're a more new staff member, there's some things in Canvas you might not know about, so I'll mention them at the top. So just here, you'll see that on the left, this is the Canvas navigation. You can see that some of the buttons have this eye with a cross in them, and that just means that your students can't see that button. So for the announcements, it's because there aren't any announcements on this module, but you also might choose to hide certain pages, so like files or pages, and you just want them to be able to get to units or assignments and things like that. But if you do want to change this for any reason, you can do so by clicking settings, then clicking navigation, and then you'll see there is a top section and a bottom section. The bottom section is where all the things that you don't want to be visible are. All you have to do is click and drag things, click save, and then you'll see I just did that with quizzes. So quizzes now is invisible. If you want to make anything visible again, you can do that by clicking and dragging. And it'll also put it in a certain order. So if I put this third from the top, you'll see now quizzes will be third from the top just here. So that's just something to note. But for today, we're going to cover grading and feedback. So I'm going to go straight into the gradebook. And to get into the gradebook, you just click this grade button. So that's the Canvas Gradebook. And you can see here that this module has a number of students and a number of assignments. So you can see these are just 4 test students. So they're just my colleagues' names basically, and my name here, and a test student. And we also have a couple of assignments and a couple of quizzes. And we'll be looking at all of these as we're going through the session today. So one of the first things I want to draw your attention to is you need to make sure, and it'll probably be the case, that your assignments are set to manual grading. So you just click this cog up here and click to the grade posting policy. And we recommend that you have it as manually post grades. And what that means is that when you're putting in the grades for each thing, so we already have grades here on that quiz, it won't be immediately sent out to your students. You'll have to post it manually. So if a quiz or an assessment you've put in the grades, the student's not going to see it straight away until you actually decide you want to release those grades, basically. So just get out of that. So we'll go into SpeedGrader here. So I'm just going to open the first assignment now. 1 second. Just my notes. Yeah. So we'll go into SpeedGrader, and there's 2 ways you can get into SpeedGrader from the gradebook here by clicking the options button and then clicking SpeedGrader, or you can alternatively go to assignments, click on an assignment, and then click SpeedGrader. But I'll just do it from the gradebook since this is focusing on the gradebook. So I'm going to go click SpeedGrader. And then I can see each student's submission to the assignment. So here we have the 4 different submissions, and I can click through them. So each person will have their own submission, and this will be blank. If your student hasn't submitted at all, then it'll have nothing here basically. So I'll keep on this one. You can see that it's marked as late. So this assignment was set for 3rd of May at 8:30 a.m. I think. And then we had Roshan Garvey submitted to it and it was late. So that's set as a late submission. And what you can do, and I'll show you back in the gradebook if you wanted to, is when people are late for submissions, you can deduct marks over time. So that's something you do from here as well. Click on that cog button and you can set a grade for missing submissions. So if you want to apply the same grade for every missing submission, or you can also automatically apply deduction to late submissions. So you click that and then you can say every day you lose 5% or every hour, depending on what interval you want to do. And you can also have a lowest possible grade as well and just apply those settings. But I'll just go back into the assignment. What you can also do is if the student has a legitimate excuse for being late and you don't want them marked as late, or if they were only a couple of minutes late and you just don't want them to be marked that way, you can press this pencil tool here. You can change it to missing excuse, so they might have an excuse that they're going to miss the assignment, or none. If I just click none, then it'll clear that late, and then now they're not marked as late anymore. And I'll just move on to some of these other ones. So this one, Lauren Maher's submission, there are multiple submissions there. So just to note that you make sure if the student has multiple submissions, you might have set up your assignment where they can submit more than once, that you're looking at the most up-to-date submission, because that's the submission that they want you to look at when you're grading. So just keep an eye and make sure you're clicking on the most recent one and not the older one. Yeah, so that's the main thing when you're looking at this stuff. Then I'll look at comments. So if I go back into Roshan's submission here, as you probably know, if you've used SpeedGrader before and you've put comments on a submission, you can use this little comment box here and add a comment. So you can just say anything here and then submit. But some things you might not know with SpeedGrader. There's a lot of things you can do that will save your time and that maybe even will be a little bit more personal to your student. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the comments library. So you click this little icon here. This is the comment library. And I've added these comments myself, just different comments that maybe you use the same comment over and over again. You don't want to keep typing it over and over again. You can add something to the comment library. So if I could show you great work and then click add to library, then when I'm making a comment, I just click on my library, click on that, and it'll add to the comment. And I can even edit it if I want to, and then click submit. So then I wouldn't have had to type that first one basically. And then you see, you can just go in and click on any of them. You can also set it so it shows suggestions when typing. So if you start typing great work, it'll appear. You just click on that comment. And if I go back, there's a couple of other options here. There's a file attachment option. So if I click the file attachment here, I can attach a file. So if you want to attach a resource for the student to look at when you're giving their assignment comments, you can do that from here. So it could be a document or an Excel file or anything like that. Another option that you can do if you want a more personal feedback for the student, and you can do this for each student if you wanted to, is to click the media comment. So I've clicked media comment here, it's loading up, and it's just going to show my camera so you can see me here now. And what you can do if you want to not have webcam, you can click no webcam. So you could do just a audio one, or you can have your webcam on and make sure you choose your main webcam. So I have a webcam attached, so I'll click on that again. And also make sure my mic is the correct mic. So this mic here. And just also to mention, you could upload a file if you want to do it outside of Canvas and then put it in. But if you just click start recording, then you can record a message. So I would say, oh, this is great work. You might need to look a little bit more into this area, and give the feedback through the video. When you're happy with the video, you could click finish, or if you want to take it again, you click start over and start recording again. But I'll just create a video so I can show it how it looks here. So we've got a video, and click finish. And you can give it a title if you want, or just click save media, and that should appear as a comment. And then your student will see that when you release the feedback to them. And then one other option, now you might think this means to record audio, but as I showed, you can do that. This one, this is actually speech to text button. So I click here. If you're feeling like you would rather dictate to your computer what you want to say in a comment, you can just click the record button here. This was great work. Just say any comments you want basically here, and it's picking up what I'm saying, as you can see. Then click stop. And obviously you can edit that as well, and then click submit. So this just saves you a lot of time. Now, one question we've gotten a couple of times in the GL team is how to be more specific with the feedback. As you know, this add a comment is kind of a general comment for the whole piece. But if you want to add more specific comments on different sections of a piece, that's something you can do. These annotation tools up here. So there's a number of annotation tools, and I'll show you examples of all of them. So at the moment, selection is just shown. So that's just your regular selection tool. But if you wanted to pinpoint a certain part of the text, so if I'm just going to click pin, change the color if you want to, and then just click pin somewhere, and then add your comment. So great point researched. And you can add that anywhere. Similarly, you could have a highlight. So if I just highlight here, you can see, and I could change the color of that if I wanted to too. Now I'll add a comment. I can also add text straight into the document. So just put that there. I'm being very complimentary here, but basically that's how that works. And then if there's something that you think they shouldn't have in the piece, you want them to know that this is inaccurate or something, you can put a strike through. So if I just say not relevant or something like that, so you can have a strike through. There's also a drawing, a paintbrush, so you could draw something on the piece if it was a graphical, if you want to point an arrow or something like that. And then there's one more useful tool. I'll just make it red here. Box. So if you wanted to put a box around a load of text and then write a comment with it, you can do that here. So this is all very similar to when you're annotating PDFs outside of Canvas, basically. And it just means that you can be very specific with your feedback, because you can pinpoint the different parts of the text where you're adding that feedback. So that's definitely really helpful. And then obviously for grading, when you're actually coming to grading the piece, so you can put your grade in here. But also if you had a rubric, and this assignment had a rubric associated with it set up when they made the assignment, you can go into the rubric and add your scores here. So if I just push, I'm going to put 10, 30, 28, and then click save. Then it has my full rubric score, 68, and then I can put that score here. And then that's their grade. And this machine would not be able to see the grade yet, because the grade processing policy is set to manual. So you know that when you put your grade in there, it's still hidden, and it's telling you here it's still hidden from the student. Just go into Lauren's. You can see she's done some comments here, and she has her comment library as well from the session yesterday. And I'm just going to put, and you can see test student, no submissions. So that's what it looks like when they haven't submitted. And you could excuse them if you wanted to. I'm going to go finally into this one. Yeah, we have the rubric and we have comments as well from yesterday. So that's great. I'll put in a grade just so we can go back into the grade book and look at it. Okay, so let's go back into the grade book and we're going to move on. I need to refresh this page and you'll see the grades have appeared here. Yep. So I'm going to move on just for now to look at original. So if you have an original assignment, so that's our MTU's plagiarism detection tool, then when students submit to the assignment, they'll have this little colored icon with their submission. You can see this one is blue and this one is red. And all that means is that the blue one means there's low similarity. So that person probably didn't plagiarize anything. And then red means that there's high similarity. So they may have plagiarized something. But of course, we ask that you look more into it for anything where you suspect students might have plagiarized. And we'll show you how to do that now. So we'll just go into SpeedGrader, just the same with this assignment. Close out of the other one. So you can see the 0% for Lauren. So there's a very low similarity score. If I go into Sarah test, so that's one I added. It's a very high one. And that's basically because I downloaded a page from Wikipedia and put it up because I wanted it to get a high score so I can show it in the session. So it would be weird if it did have a low score. So then all you have to do to see the similarity report is click on the percentage and then just wait for it to load up. Take a few seconds. In a while. I don't know if this is my internet or if this is original. Oh, here we go. Just loading through, so it's loading the report for you. Okay, so you'll see this is your original similarity report. And you'll see that there are 4 different tabs that you can look at when looking over the similarity report. So there's overview, findings, sources, and document. And they're all quite similar, but basically that's how you can look over what the student submitted and how it might be plagiarized. So just from the overview one, you can click on blocks and it'll show the matching block and where they're getting the match from. So it's no surprises there that it's coming from Wikipedia. But for instance, if you wanted to allow students to be able to cite from a certain place and that was coming up in the report, you could click exclude and then it would reduce down the similarity. And that's similar on the other tabs. So this one, you can go through matches and exclude certain things. So if you think, oh, this is okay, I wouldn't count this as plagiarism, you can just click exclude on different things. And the same with sources. So I'll just show you if I untick Wikipedia as a source, then my similarity score is going down, way down to 27%, and then it goes back up if I click it again. And then here you can just view the whole document. So you see the whole document side by side. This is the document that the student or that I submitted. And this is all the matches. And you can go through them and exclude or include different things. I'm just going to go over some of the options here at the top as well. So you can see here, you can have these things turned on or off, and it'll just show them in the list here. So I have brackets turned on, so it shows me every place where there are brackets. I have text differences turned on, so you can see here highlighting where the 2 documents are different. And this is probably just because I printed out the page, so it's not exactly the same as the Wikipedia page. You can also have it so it shows quotes. If I scroll down here, you might see, yes, there's a quote here. If I turn that off, then it doesn't show the quote anymore. And it could just be because your student is using citations, and then you'll know very clearly, oh, that's a citation, so I can exclude that. And the same with group sources. Then what you can also do is, if you've deleted or you've excluded a lot of things, and then you decide you want to start again and you don't want to exclude them anymore, you can click reset report state, and that'll just reset it to when you first opened the report. You can also download the analysis report as a PDF just by clicking download, and you can share it. So maybe if you want to share it with another coworker, another staff member, you could just click share and share the report with someone else. So that is basically how Original works. It's just a quick overview of it. But if you want to know more about it, you can watch our YouTube video on YouTube, the GL YouTube channel. We have an Original video there if you need to know more about Original. I'm just going to go back into the gradebook for now, and we'll look at a couple more things, and we'll look at quizzes as well. So I'll just get out Original for the moment. So as you can see, when I click on the options button, there's a lot of options here. I'm just going to discuss the message students who button. So once you've done your grading on your assignments or on your quizzes, you can click in here and click message students who, and you can write to certain students. So maybe your students, there's some students that haven't submitted to your assignment yet. You can write a message to them here, or add an attachment or a video, much like when you're adding the comments to the assignments. You can also message students that have a certain score. So if you have students that scored less than 50, you could write a message to them. Or if I put 50, nobody will come up because we have high grades there. But if I just put 100, you'll see the list of 2 students come up, and you can see Rasheen and Sarah come up there. And if you want, you can change that if you want to. And then you can just write a message to them. So you can get a message out to anyone scoring low, scoring high, or hasn't submitted yet if you want. So that's really helpful. Now I'm just going to go into quizzes really quickly. So if I click up here, and then click quizzes, you can see that we have 2 quizzes here. And I'm just going to show you how you can moderate and look at your student answers and make sure they're corrected properly. So you can either go in by clicking on it and clicking build, and then that'll go into the quiz, or alternatively, there's a quick way where you can click the options button and click build and go straight there. You can see this quiz has some multiple choice questions, so that's where you've already set the right answer and it'll be automatically graded. There's also an answer here where they have to input an answer, so that means you will have to grade the question yourself. Also, another thing to note is when you're setting up your quizzes, to click on settings, and it's a good idea to click this button and have it green, so toggled on the restrict student result view. And that just means when your students finish the quiz, they won't see their results immediately. They'll have to be released to them just like you do with releasing assignments and stuff. If you had that turned off, then they'd be able to see their grade on the quiz immediately, basically. So you want to restrict that. So now I'm just going to click on moderate, and you'll see that there's 3 students here, and there's a couple of attempts on Sarah's one here, and you can look into the attempts, and you can also look at a bunch of different things. So if you click moderate, you can give people additional attempts if they need to, or time adjustments. You can click on view log. If you click view log, you can see how they answered each question, and how long they took, basically. So you can see that in detail. And what you want to do when you're actually correcting the quiz it's going to the attempts. And because we had a session yesterday, we already had it corrected. So I just opened Sarah up for a second attempt so I can show you now. So if I click in, you can see all of these questions were automatically graded except question 2. And it also says at the top, the following questions need review. And the question was, please outline the process of submitting an assignment in Canvas. And I've just written test answer, so that's incorrect. If I put the correct answer, you can put a tick, and the incorrect answer an X. So they get no points for that. Then click update at the bottom, and we've got that student results now. If I go back into the gradebook, then it should, come up here with your quiz grades basically, and it has it as 100, I think, because that's the second attempt. But you can always edit it here as well and put 80 on that. So that's how the quiz works. And finally, I'm just going to talk about different things where you're viewing the gradebook. So you can click view here and you can arrange. So this is, I think, a newer feature with the gradebook. So obviously there's only 4 students here, but you might have a class of 100, 200 students and you want to arrange them in a certain way in the gradebook, you can do so. So if you go to arrange, you can do it by A to Z, Z to A, oldest to newest, by points or by unit. You can also filter by unit. And you can also click notes. So if you wanted to add notes to each student name, you can do that here as well. So that's handy. I'm just going to turn that off for now. Another thing you can do is if you're working on a grading outside of Canvas, if you're experienced with Excel, you might be inputting their grades outside of Canvas and then want to import it in. So you do that just by clicking import. You can also export the gradebook, excuse me. You can export the gradebook and then open it in Excel. So if you want to do further filtering, if you're experienced with Excel, or if you want to prepare the grades for sending to WED for faculty for the end of semester results, you can do that either by clicking export current gradebook view or the entire gradebook, and then you can send that to WED for faculty with all the grades in it. So I think that's mostly all I had to cover. But of course, if you have any questions, I think the Q&A is set up so you can put the Q&A there, or you can ask on YouTube, and my colleague Brendan will tell me if there's any questions on YouTube. So just let me know. But while I'm waiting for any questions to come in, I'm just going to talk about some of our supports. So we did go over finding submissions, adding feedback, quiz submissions, additional considerations, and support. So one support that you might not know about is Canvas support. So Canvas have a 24/7 telephone support that you can access with this number, or you can email them at support@instructure.com. You can also access that Canvas help menu straight through Canvas. So if I just go back into Canvas here, I can show you. Just click this help button, and this is always appears no matter where you are in Canvas. And then you can submit a ticket to Canvas by clicking this button here, or you can click web chat with Canvas support chat faculty, and you'll be linked with a Canvas support member, and you can write to them in real time or submit a ticket to them. That's what we suggest you do for Canvas issues that specific to Canvas. Maybe if you have a page where it's blank and you can't see anything or something like that, it's helpful to contact Canvas support. But of course, you can also contact us at edtech@mtu.ie if you have any Canvas issues, and we can look into it from our ticket desk. And also we have help site. So the help site is telhelp.eu.helpdocs.com, and that has loads of guides, not just on Canvas, but on Zoom and different other TEL supported tools in MTU. But it should cover nearly everything that you're going to be doing with Canvas, and everything that I covered today is covered on the help docs. But as I mentioned before, if you have any issues or if you can't access anything, you can email us or you can contact Canvas support. And I think that's it. If there isn't any questions, I'm just going to check the Q&A. Doesn't seem to be any questions. Brendan might just double check with you if there are any questions that you put them in the Q&A from YouTube, but if there isn't, I might finish up here. Just give it a minute. Thanks, Brendan. Okay, no questions from YouTube. Anna, how does the reassign, how do you set up points in the rubric so they align with the percentage marks? Okay, so I'll go into that question first. So if I go back to Gradebook and go into the rubric. So this is what you do when you're setting up the assignments in the beginning. So we're just going to go in and edit one. I think this one had a rubric. I'll go in this way. And you just set it up where the total points make up 20 points. So if I just, you see this one, there's 3 different areas. So there's 40, 40, and 20, and that makes up the 100 points, which is the point mark for the assignment. And then you can also, within that, different ratings. So you see this all, the 20, 12, 4, it'll add up to the 20 points here, and each one, and then that'll add up to the total points. So if I just go into the edit, you can see you can edit all of this. But that's the range, and then that'll add up to 100, which is the full one, and then that's your percentage. So that's how that works. I hope that answers your question on rubrics. How does the reassign feature work? I might, 1 second there, Anna. I might allow you to talk there if you want to go into more detail on your question on that, because I'm not sure what reassign feature you're talking about.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. I just noticed that when you were in individual assignments down the very end underneath comments, there was a button called reassign, and I was just wondering what that means and what can we do with it?
In the speed grader, that was, yeah. So if I go into speed grader, actually from here, and that's, down here.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's just, reassigning, so that if I go back here, I think it's now reassign the assignment so that
just that student or to the whole group?
I'm not sure now. I don't have you. Let me click the student view and check. I might have to get back to you on this one, but if I click in again, test student, I think it's reassigned to everyone, but I will double check on that one.
Okay, perfect. And I also just, a related question on that is, if it is reassigned, does it matter if the due date and the folder have closed? You know what I mean? Does it reopen the whole folder?
So the due date on the actual assignment, if that's closed once you've reassigned, I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look into that and get back to you on those 2 questions.
Perfect.
But I definitely will look into that. I think that's it for questions. If anyone else has anything else, let me know. But I will look into that. I'll just make a note here. Okay, I think that's it. So thanks everyone for attending. This recording will be on YouTube if you want to watch it back. And as I said, I'll be getting back to people on that question. So that's Anna. I'll be getting back to you on that question. Thanks everyone. And we'll talk to you again.